The champagne flute shattered in my grip, jagged glass slicing into my palm as her laughter echoed from the oak-paneled dressing room. I froze in the hallway, the velvet box heavy in my pocket, her grandmother's sapphire ring burning against my thigh. Her words cut deeper than the glass ever could. Imagine if Derek just burst in and swept me away, like in the movies. Her bridesmaids cackled, sharp and conspiratorial, like the blade of a guillotine crashing down. Blood seeped through my tuxedo as I pressed my injured hand to it, the spreading stain a warning I'd ignored for far too long. The morning had begun with stained glass light spilling over the vineyard estate, painting kaleidoscope colors across polished floors. I'd woken buzzing with nerves, my chest tight, with something hovering between joy and dread. Emily, my fiancée, had been glowing the night before the rehearsal dinner, her hazel eyes catching the candlelight as she raised a toast to forever. I had believed every word. I always did. Even when her phone lit up late with messages she dismissed as work. Even when she lingered too long beside Derek, her ex, at our engagement party. Just old friends, she'd said with a stiff smile. And I swallowed the unease, bitter as spoiled wine. Now, standing outside her room, the air pressed in thick and suffocating. My palm throbbed, blood dripping onto the hardwood, each drop a metronome ticking towards something inevitable. I wanted to storm in, demand the truth. Instead, my feet felt cemented to the floor, breath shallow. What did she mean like in the movies? A careless joke? A fantasy? Or something worse, something real? The ring weighed down my pocket like a curse. I forced myself away, stumbling back to the groom's suite where my brother Matt stood in front of a gilded mirror adjusting his tie. "You look like you've seen a ghost," he said, his grin vanishing when he noticed the blood. "Jesus, Nick, what happened?" "Cut myself," I muttered, wrapping my hand in a handkerchief. I couldn't tell him. Not yet. The words would shred my throat like broken glass. Matt raised an eyebrow, but let it go. He always did. Steady, unshakable, the opposite of me. I envied it now as my mind unraveled, replaying every sign I'd ignored. The late nights, the sudden trips, the way her laughter had just sounded, unguarded, alive. Not the careful smile she'd given me when I proposed. I collapsed into a leather chair, the faint scent of whiskey, and would polish thicken the air. My phone buzzed. A message from Emily. "Can't wait to see you at the altar. Love you." My thumb hovered. Reply? Or smash the phone against the wall? Was she lying even now? Or was I twisting some stupid joke into betrayal? Doubt gnawed at me. I'd always been the one to overthink. But those giggles hadn't been innocent. They were knowing. The ceremony was an hour away. Guests were arriving, their voices drifting through the open window, like a storm approaching. In my mind, Derek stormed through the doors, smirk in place, sweeping Emily into his arms while I stood helpless. The vision was so vivid it felt like memory instead of fear. Pain flared as I clenched my bleeding fist. I needed to see her. I had to know. I slipped out, weaving through the bustling estate. The air was thick with crushed grapes and roses, summer heat clinging to my skin. I found her in the garden, alone, adjusting her veil in the fountain's reflection. Her white dress glowed against the greenery, and for a moment, she looked like the Emily I'd fallen in love with, the one who cried when I read her my vows, who promised forever with a trembling voice. But then her eyes met mine, and I saw it, a flicker, guilt, fear, or maybe just my imagination. "Nick," she whispered, her voice strained, like a string pulled too tight. "You're not supposed to see me yet." I had to. My voice came out harsher than I meant. "I heard you talking about Derek." Her face went pale. "What?" she asked, but it wasn't confusion. It was caution. "You said you wished he'd come in and take you away." I forced each word out slow, deliberate, like stones dropped into still water. "Is that what you want, Emily?" "Him." She laughed, brittle and forced. "It was a joke, Nick. God, you know how my friends are. Ridiculous." It didn't mean anything. But it hadn't sounded like nothing. It had sounded like truth. Her eyes darted away, toward the roses, the fountain, anywhere but me. "You're being paranoid," she said, but her voice trembled, her hands twisting lace. "I love you. I'm here, aren't I? I'm marrying you. Then why does it feel like you're already gone? The words slipped out raw, unfiltered. She didn't answer right away. The silence was louder than any admission. Finally, she whispered, "Nick, please," reaching for my hand. I pulled back. Tears welled in her eyes. "I don't know what you wanted to say. It was stupid. I shouldn't have said it. But it's not what you think. Then what is it?" My voice cracked, rising. "Because I've been ignoring the sign for months. The late nights, the texts, the way you light up when he's around. Tell me I'm wrong. Emily, look me in the eye and tell me there's nothing there." Her lips parted, but no words came. Her silence answered sharper than any confession. My chest constricted, the world tilting beneath me. I wanted to scream, to beg her to love me the way I loved her. But I just stood there, bleeding from more than my hand. The officiant's voice carried from the distance. Time to begin. Guests settling. The string quartet starting their soft melody. Emily wiped her tears, slipping her mask back on. "We need to go," she said flatly. "This is our day, Nick. Don't ruin it." Numb, I followed her to the altar. Smiling faces blurred together, a sea of joy and expectation. I spoke vows that crumbled like ash in my mouth. Her hand was cold in mine, her smile rehearsed. And then I saw him, Derek, standing at the back, uninvited, eyes locked on Emily with a look that said he knew something I didn't. My stomach dropped. The sapphire ring weighed like lead in my pocket. Emily's grip tightened around my hand, not in comfort, but in control. As we turned to face the crowd, her veil lifted in the breeze, revealing a single tear. Not for me, for him. And in that moment, I knew how the story ended. Not with some grand romantic gesture, but with a truth I could no longer ignore. She had married me, but her heart already belonged elsewhere. The reception was all laughter and clinking glasses. But I was gone, replaying her words, her silences, her lies. I slipped into the vineyard shadows, where the air was cool and the stars burned sharp. My phone buzzed again. Another message from Emily. "Where are you? Come back." I didn't reply. Instead, I pulled the sapphire ring from my pocket and hurled it into the vines, watching it vanish into the darkness. Let her have her movie ending. I was finished playing the fool.